All right, in this video, I'm going to talk about a very important topic, which is scalable versus non-scalable skills and how to choose which skill you should learn at any given time. For those of you who don't understand what a skill is, it's literally anything that you can utilize to make money. Cold calling, paid advertising, sales, business development, whatever you name it. So when it comes to skills and choosing skills, there's two main ways, two main things you need to consider: scalable skills versus non-scalable skills. And before you choose those, it really matters on what type of asset you have. So either you have time and you have money, or you have no time and you have money, you have money and no time, or you have neither. So two variables, four permutations, four combinations. So what your goal is going to be is to find what requires the least amount of time and the most scalable skill set at any given time, at any given period of time. So in the early stages, you might be very time rich and cash poor, but you have to learn a skill. So you want to find what's the most scalable skill at that period of time you can do. A lot of the times that's sales. A lot of the times that's cold calling. A lot of the time that's business development. A lot of the times that's cold emailing, whatever it is. But in those examples, in the early stages, there are skills that are scalable versus non-scalable. And the example I would go ahead and give you guys is that if you are learning to cold call, maybe you do 200 cold calls a day. If you're really good, maybe you do 100 cold calls. But if you take that same amount of time and you go and learn cold emailing, you can email hundreds of thousands of people every single month, and you can thousands of people every single day. So you just took the same amount of time, and instead of learning cold calling, you learned cold emailing, and that allowed you to basically learn a skill set that is super scalable compared to the other skill set, which is cold calling. And at any given period of time, you should be looking for the most scalable skill set. Now, let's say, for example, you learned cold emails, and now you have a period of time where you've learned it, you've mastered it, you're really good at it, but you realize you're only tapping into a few 100,000 people per month, and your reach is capped and your income is capped. That's typically how it goes. The more people you can reach, the more income you can get. And what you'll do at that time is that you'll systemize everything, and you'll make sure someone else is running it, and then you'll learn another skill. Maybe that's paid advertising. Now you can reach millions of people, hundreds of millions of people if you want, with proper paid ads. But you couldn't have learned paid ads in the early stages because maybe you don't have enough cash. Paid ads cost money. You need to pay coaches to teach you how to do it. It's much more difficult to get in. It's much more competitive. So these are the considerations you need to learn you need to take into consideration basically at any given time to make sure you're learning the most scalable skill set. I'll give you another example. Let's say you learn how to do sales. Now you're doing sales, which is one-to-one. You're going on sales calls, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, every single sales call. And then at the end of the call, you're getting a close. Let's say you do 8 of those calls every single day. Maybe you're an absolute monster and you can do 16 calls a day. That's the maximum scalability you're going to get. You do 16 calls a day and you do it for 30 days, and that's 16 times 30. That's the maximum scalability you're going to get. But let's say you tapped out at 6 calls a day, and instead of taking the other 2 calls or other 10 calls, you went ahead and learned another skill. And this time it was media buying. And media buying is the same thing. It allows you to go ahead or you learn copywriting, media buying or copywriting. What copywriting is going to teach you is you're going to learn how to write banger VSLs. When you write banger VSLs, millions of people see you, and you're basically selling at a mass scale instead of selling one-to-one. So you just went from one-to-one to one-to-many. And this is what scalability of skill matters. So when it comes to choosing skills, don't worry about picking the best skill for the rest of your life. It's more so the best skill in the moment, because at every given point, you'll learn a skill. The journey typically goes like this. You learn a skill, you get really good at it, and then you plateau. And then you have to learn another skill. And then it keeps on going, and it keeps on going. For me, I learned sales, I learned ads, I learned copywriting. That's how I allowed myself to scale. So the idea is to continuously find scalable skills, and it keeps on pushing and pushing and pushing. So I'm still learning paid ads. I'm still learning this. One of the things I'm going to learn down the road is actually how to hire even better. That's something that's going to scale my company even more. And these are continuous learning things that you have to go through. No one's perfect at any given time, but the main thing is you constantly have to remind yourself that you're looking for the next scalable skill set after you exhaust your current skill set to the max you can. Once you do this, it's super easy to reach new income targets. You basically grow as a person, you grow in your skill set, you grow as an entrepreneur, and over time you'll just your plateau might be 10K a month, and then your plateau might be 20K a month, and your plateau might be 50K, then 500K, a million a month. So hopefully this video helps out. A lot of people think that it's they get plateaued, but they don't want to learn new skills, and that's one of the main problems. You have to constantly learn. Nothing is going to be there forever that serves you. You're constantly have to going to iterate and reinvent yourself and learn more and more things. So super important to identify the most scalable skill at any given time. Utilize your assets, which is time and cash, as much as you can, and the more scalable skill sets you learn, the more cash you're going to make.